Good evening. My name is Wendy Elliott, Mears. Thank you for taking your time tonight to come out. I have served as a public educator in Delaware for 23 years. I'm also a child advocate in public policy and one of the advocates supporting HB75, legislation that would eliminate the civil statute of limitations for children who were sexually abused in institutions and organizations. I don't take any of those roles lightly. I'm also speaking to you as a survivor of child sexual abuse within a Delaware state licensed daycare, an organization that abused 3 decades of children and foster children, right behind the Laurel Police Department in Laurel, Delaware. I'm also speaking to you as a survivor of child sexual abuse. This lived experience shapes how I see the world. It shapes why I notice patterns, and it shapes why I refuse to look away. Before I start, I am a Christian. I have persevered within my faith. This journey has been 5 years. It has not stopped. I am a person about numbers, dates, and times. Today is President's Day. I want to give thanks to Mr. Dubs, my 4th grade teacher. He allowed me to dress up as Abe Lincoln, and I got to give my first speech. I was going to do that tonight to get you to kind of laugh, but Abe had his purpose, just like I know that I have my purpose, just like I know each one of you have your purpose. I also want to give thanks to Miss Dorr. She was my kindergarten teacher in Laurel. And we had a student in our class named Julie. And Julie was the stinky kid. Had the dirty clothes, wore them every day. She also sat in a red chair. I was her friend. She didn't have many friends. And once in a while she would pull that fire alarm and we'd get out of class. One day, Julie's father snuck through the side door. And when he snuck through the side door, there was a civil problem, and he was trying to basically kidnap his daughter. I'll never forget that day. We were in line in elementary. I stood by Julie, I held her hand, and he shouted to let Julie out, to take her. Miss Dorr yelled. She made such a catastrophe that that child was not taken. But he broke Miss Dorr's arm in front of all of us. With that being said, that traumatic event has made me today be who I am. And I hope that you really consider about what I'm to say tonight and what's going on with our Delaware children. What we're seeing and hearing about nationally, the conversations around child abuse, exploitation, and trafficking, this is not just a national issue. It's local, it's in our own backyards, and it's deeper than most people realize. Many secret societies are into our children. I want to explain in simple terms what has happened to me over the last few years and why it matters beyond just my own situation. But I want to be honest with you. Speaking out has a cost. When the statute of limitation expires, the institution is protected, even if the abuse was real. HB75 would remove that time barrier. Survivors could come forward at any time. Institutions would no longer be shielded by the clock. Patterns of abuse that were hidden could finally be examined in court. That is what accountability looks like. That is what transparency looks like. And I was advocating publicly for HB75 before I ever began raising concerns of what I believe was happening inside of my own school district, the Indian River School District. As educators, we are mandatory reporters. That means the law requires us to report reasonable suspicion of child abuse or neglect, not proven abuse, not confirmed crime, suspicion. If something does not add up, we are lawfully obligated to say something. Separately, there are whistleblower protections. In plain language, that means if a public employee raises concerns about potential misconduct or child safety issues in good faith, they cannot lawfully be punished simply for raising those concerns. You do not have to be correct. You have to report honestly. That is how accountability systems are supposed to work. Over the last several years, I began noticing enrollment patterns involving vulnerable and migrant students leaving district records without clear documentation provided when I asked routine procedural questions. So I did what educators are trained and required to do. I asked for clarification, I requested documentation, I documented my concerns. Last February, I formally sent written correspondence to federal authorities asking that proper agencies review documentation procedures involving vulnerable and missing children. On February 24th, 2025, the same day that letter was received by federal authorities, I was placed on my third administrative leave by my school district, the Indian River School District. That timing is documented. On April 29th, I met with a special agent from the FBI and a Delaware State Police Task Force detective for human trafficking. After this meeting, my school district then sent me emails that there were new complaints on me. I am now being informed by both the school board and the district that I will be reprimanded where a paper trail will be started. The district is also trying to dock my pay, and the district cut my engineering program last year and involuntarily transferred me to the Sussex Central High School, where I'm noticing that there are over 160 students that are missing. Attorneys and law enforcement have been useless, and my only shield has been the teacher union and my faith. Since then, I have been accused of some very serious things. I am told I make false statements. I am told I discuss conspiracies. I'm told I talk about sexual matters. I am told I make people afraid. I am told I'm disconnected from reality. But I have never been provided a specific quote, a specific date, a specific email, a specific classroom incident, a specific harm party. No screenshots, no witnesses, no documentation of student harm. Just labels. Imagine being told you did something wrong, but no one will tell you what you did. How do you defend yourself against something that has never been specified? You can't. Instead of presenting evidence of job performance failure or student harm, I was then ordered to undergo a fitness for duty psychological evaluation based on the content of my speech for a local media station on the Dan Gaffney Show. Not because I harmed a child, not because I failed to teach, not because of classroom misconduct, but because of what I said on a local news media station in support of HB75. That felt terrifying. It felt like being told, if we don't like what you say, we can label you unstable. Why this should concern everyone. Whether you agree with me or not is not the point. The point is this: if a public employee can advocate for survivor accountability laws, ask procedural questions about vulnerable students, report concerns under mandatory reporting laws, and then be labeled unstable without specific evidence, that creates a chilling effect. It tells every public employee, do not ask questions. If I am wrong, documentation should show that. If I am mistaken, records would clarify it. Transparency resolves doubt. Punishment without specificity does not. This is not about conspiracy. This is about accountability. We already have enough tax corruption in this state, and undocumented children should send an alarm to the public as to where they are, and districts possibly receiving your money for undocumented children. This is about whether public institutions respond to questions with documentation or with retaliation. And that should concern all of us. I want to go ahead and share HB75 and why it's important.
That's long now, Wendy.
It is not. There was a 2-year window back with Earl Bradley, but this one's is retroactive, and I'm going to explain it now.
That's okay.
That's okay. What HB75 will do, it will protect children, it will change lives, it gives justice for survivors. It's a voice for the voiceless and hope for the future of Delaware children. This is the same bill that was passed in New York where all these victims came forward civilly on Holly Weird. It was also recently passed in Maryland. In Maryland, there were so many children that were abused by government officials and within our foster care that they had to put a cap on the monies. You know, I just want hope for the future of our Delaware children, and I know what my purpose is. It would be an amazing slogan to tie Delaware into Delaware's identity as the first state stands for protecting children. What HB75 does, it removes all civil statute of limitation for childhood sexual abuse claims in Delaware. Survivors would be able to file civil lawsuits at any time, no matter how long ago the abuse occurred. It creates a permanent retroactive path to justice. Delaware has led before by eliminating future time limits and opening a temporary window in 27 with the prosecution of the biggest pedophile in the nation, Dr. Earl Bradley, who sexually perverted many generations of our children and families. But many survivors were still unable to come forward in that narrow period. HB75 permanently removes those barriers and allows survivors to seek justice regardless of when the abuse occurred. Why survivors often cannot come forward earlier. Most survivors delay disclosure for decades. Abuse tied to institutions adds fear, power imbalance, and shame. Justice should not depend on a survivor's timeline. The impact of HB75. It gives justice for survivors, increased accountability, and improved safeguards. It allows retroactive civil claims. It waives sovereign immunity so survivors can sue government entities as well as private institutions. It includes safeguards against frivolous lawsuits. Why this is about accountability. Abusers and institutions should not escape responsibility because time ran out. Survivors deserve validation, dignity, and access to court. How people can help create a safer Delaware for our children. Contact your state senator and ask for support. Submit public testimony. Work with survivor and child advocacy organizations, but do your research on these. The wolves sometimes are also on these. You can also share accurate information and survivor-created stories and demand for more child task force teams in our state. And always be curious and ask questions. This is my closure for tonight. Violating a child's most sacred boundaries should never, ever be free from accountability. I do have at the back some pamphlets for HB75. When I first started this journey, I was told that Delaware has one of the biggest organized pedophilia networks and that our lobbyists are a part of it, but they know the people of power that are. That AG, judges, lawyers, doctors are a part of these networks. That it's like they have a secret handshake at the Masonic Lodge. I now attend private conferences with other survivors, and I know about the secret societies. I know that I have to serve that purpose and help these kids that can't get out and the kids that are missing. Violating a child's most sacred boundaries should never, ever be free from accountability. If any of you want to come out to my home tonight, afterwards, I have a big pot of chili. I have some cornbread and some snacks. I live right off of Camp Hare Road on Waterview Road. I have suffered a lot. My children have been targeted. Me and my spouse had death threats. newspaper superior censored my stories. And the day I was labeled a conspiracy theorist, my husband walked out the door. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me. I'm asking you to call Senator Nicole Port and get her to get this bill through. I have a lot of people calling me. People that have been raped in the Catholic Church. People that have been abused within our hospitals, our foster care. You see the times that we're living in. I can't get politicians to sit with me. And two things I want to share through this. I do believe in the Trinity and my Father in heaven. And two things I've always asked God through this. What do you need me to do? What do you need me to know? Thank you.